So lovely. Good evening, Zambia. Good evening, Africa, and warm welcome to the bigger program right here on KBN TV from Zambia's capital city, Lusaka. With me, Innocent Piri. We are found on DSTV channel 279, GoTV channel 27, and also Topsa Decoder channel 102. Now, in 1998, the current Zambia's ruling party was formed under the name the United Party for National Development, UPND. Founders of the party realized the dream to have a united country called Zambia with 73 tribes and eventually spearhead development. It first elected its leader, who is late Anderson Kambela Mazoka, was described by many as a national leader and also a visionary person. Mazoka was said to have won the election of 2001 general elections against the then MMD of late Republican President Levi Patrick Mwanawasa, who emerged winner at the time. After Mazoka's death, the UPND General Assembly elected businessman, now Zambia's Republican President Hakainde Hichilema, as its leader. HH, as he is fondly known, has been at the helm of the party to date. But for 4 months before the 2026 general elections, UPND, like many other opposition political parties in Zambia, has been engulfed in a confusion as a result of the delay to hold its intra-party elections. Two senior members of the UPND have come out exposing the ills happening in the United Party for National Development, UPND. These are Charles Longwe, who has since dragged the party to court, and Patrick Tembo Banda, who has since pronounced himself as the party president on account that HH's tenure of office and his entire executive has in fact expired. Today on the Big Hour debate, we shall try to bring out the truth around this matter, but also extending our conversation on assessing on whether or not the UPND government is leading by example in adhering to the rule of law. On the Big Hour debate this evening, we have officially invited two leaders. The first person to have been invited earlier was the UPND chairperson in charge of elections, Mr. Likando Mufalali, and also Mr. Charles Longwe to appear on this Big Hour debate as we try to put all the pieces together in a balanced manner. However, I should make mention to you, the viewers out here, that Honorable Mufalali has decided to shun the interview despite having had already entered, or rather come into the studio, leaving me with no option but to proceed with an interview with Mr. Charles Longwe, who is with me in the studio right now. Stay tuned as we begin the conversation, and ensure that you take a cup of tea or a cup of water, because the conversation is going to be interesting. Mr. Longwe, welcome, and good evening to you.
Thank you very much, and thanks for the invite. We appreciate the moment to share with the viewership out there as what we stand for in the UPND, vis-a-vis as members in this great big family. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. I was actually trying to give a clarity to the viewers out there that we invited both of you, yourself, because you've been on record accusing your own political party, UPND, but we thought it wise as a production team to extend an invitation to your leader or your leaders in Honorable Mufalali Likando. But you did witness that he decided to walk out of the studio before the program could start. You did try to reason with him. What happened? Just to put this on record so that as we begin the conversation, there will be no accusation that the interview is not balanced.
Well, the facts speak for themselves. I found Likando here. He's a colleague. You saw how we interacted when I walked in the studio. Somebody I'm familiar with. He knows me, I know him. We come a long way. Let me just give a brief And so that people may understand who Likando is in relation to Charles Longwe. 2006, I was Deputy National Youth Chairperson, seconded Frank Tali, the now current Minister of Transport. When Frank left, I took over as National Youth Chairperson for a season. I think it was 3 years or so.
Right.
Following that, I think Joe Kalusa, whom everyone knows, maybe now he's at the PS, maybe Lusaka province.
Correct.
Took over after me. Following that was Likando. So you see, we know each other from our youthful days. He's somebody whom I know, I respect as a colleague. We have a common friend in the UPND, him and I, Sibote. Very good colleague of ours. These are guys who would come home. So it was unfortunate that when I found him in the studio, for no apparent reason, he was uncomfortable to debate me. You see, we are in election season.
Right.
That's my view. And politics is about debate, exchange of ideas, sharpening each other's minds, how we can do things better here and there. That's what it's about, in as far as I'm concerned. It's not about name calling, but what's the issue? And you are guiding the issues. I don't even know what exactly you wanted to ask me and him. Yeah. So my fair assessment was I was going to give my best. I expected him to do the same. The fact that he has chickened out, well, he'll account for that for himself. There's really I'm no threat to anybody.
Wow. Let's start the program. Let me first of all establish who you yourself are and your existence in the UPND. Who is Charles Longwe? Let's begin from there.
Charles Longwe is an ordinary guy. You know, I usually tell people that I'm a regular Joe. You meet me every day, you won't even notice. You know, it's this kind of guy whom, if I'm not wearing this suit, maybe just for the purposes of being on the set, you wouldn't even know. You know, we don't shout, don't make noise. We just perform the function which we are called to do. In the UPND, my journey starts in 2001 when I joined as an ordinary member. By then, the party was headquartered in Villa Elizabetha. We moved from there to the Cathedral of the Holy Cross. By the time we got to the cathedral, next to the Cathedral of the Holy Cross, I decided to run for national management. Right. So that's 2006, following the death of our late president, late Kambela Mazoka, may his soul rest in peace. I joined the national management. Right. These are the times I was saying that I was Frank's deputy. So Charles in the UPND starts in 2001. Moves to 2006, I get into national management. 3 years down the line, I resigned from my position as deputy national. Actually, at that time, I was acting national youth chairperson. I stepped down. Since then, you revert. You know, an ordinary member is an ordinary member. You know, the best way to understand ordinary member is, I think for viewers out there, if you want to know who an ordinary member is, just look at your congregation. Right. At a church. You have the leadership, the elders, the deacons, and everyone. Those are your leaders. But the congregants in the church, those are ordinary members. Right. So I've been an ordinary member of the party, except that being a member of the party, you have some duties, responsibilities. You know, it's common cause. So you have to participate to the advancement of this purpose. So since I relinquished my position at national management, I've basically been as a supportive role. When requested to do something, then I operate. Yeah, that's what we do. So that's Charles Longwe for you.
Right.
So from 2009 to date, I'm just like a volunteer. What they call foot soldiers. We are assigned to do something. We volunteer to do certain things when we have time, and we do that. But besides that, I'm a Zambian citizen. I participate in politics. So in my quest to participate in politics, my vehicle is UPND. I've never moved from UPND, not even a single day. When I'm not active, I'm back home. I'm doing my farming business, which brings bread and butter on the table. That's all I do. We jog around the region to earn a living. That's all. So I'm an ordinary person, no Superman, but maybe that will come to.
Yeah.
the thing is, maybe I come to the attention of you, the media, and everyone else in this quest that I'm seeking to join the National Management Committee of the UPND. Other than that, I'm just an ordinary guy you meet every day who don't even recognize.
How solid is your membership in the UPND? And how close are you to President Hakainde Hichilema, the leader, your boss, and our boss, all of us, by the virtue of him being a Republican president? How is the relationship between you and the President Hakainde Hichilema, who is the head of the UPND? I ask this question because your membership is being questioned by some of your members who are doubting you being a UPND member. A lot of people have come here and they have said, Longwe, he seemed to be a stranger. Longwe, we do not know him. How is your relationship with your leaders in the UPND, such as, for example, the president himself, the SGs, and going down to Honorable Mufalali himself, who are probably questioning your existence in the UPND?
I think this is just a competitive season. It's very easy for them to dismiss me, and I think you saw from the beginning, it was very easy for them to just come out and say, he's not a member, we don't know where he has come from. That reduces my market. You see, because this is a competitive season for elections. If a word like that goes, look now, I'm here defending myself. So I'll spend a lot of time instead of doing that which I want to do, but I'm on the back pedal now, trying to push and justify why I'm doing these things. So I understand that's politics for you. But that's the best shot they had at me. Because when I came strong. Me, I was prepared. And I can tell you they were not. Yeah, they were not. Me, I was prepared. I've been waiting for this opportunity to join the National Management Committee for a very long time. Yeah, because I voluntarily left. You see, when you leave voluntarily, you decide when to come back. I was not fired, I left. So when I decided to come back, it was for a purpose. Now, they don't know what's driving me. That's why they see this aggression and they think I'm rebellious. No. I have a purpose. And I decided that in 2026, I'll put in my best at the National Convention to end up as one of those 70. You know, there is a group of people, 70 elected. And this, which they are seeing, is what, I wanted to top among the top 5. Now there are no elections. Too much energy. No elections.
Why did you resign? Why did you resign in the first place from the National Management Committee, willingly so, as you claim, and later on you still want to get back to the position which you left, but along the way again, in as much as you want to get back to that old position of a national management member, you are more like becoming defiant to the party.
You have to understand something. UPND is a political party. It's a club, a voluntary club, which we join voluntarily. Nobody asked me when I went to the Secretariat in 2001, why do you want to join? They sold me a card. They never asked me, where are you coming from? I just produced my NRC. That was the qualification, number 1, a Zambian citizen, ready to participate. What moved me is what I heard from the then leader, Anderson Kambela Mazoka, to join this movement. So, if you ask me a question that I bring controversy, maybe it's misunderstanding. Right. It's misunderstanding. Because I come at a time when my colleagues who are operating as administrators in this club, maybe I come to the public notice at a time when there's a conflict between me and them. Otherwise, I think you would tell me, even yourself, you have been in media for all these years, you don't even know me. You don't even know me. If there are people who would know me years back, would be people like Costa. Costa Mwansa. Those days, before 2010, will be active in the media space. For the last 15 years, I've been absent as an ordinary member. But you see, there's something in politics. That's why you see in this election season, those who are councillors, those who are mayors before, those who are MPs before, you see them aspiring to the position they once held. It's a normal thing in politics. So me aspiring to come back and be a member of the national management is not even anything strange. That's where I left. Okay? So in decision making, I'm familiar with what happens there. So I wasn't going to join the province where Maliteta is. No. That's beneath where I left. So it's obvious that when I come back, I'll start from where I left. So they shouldn't be surprised that we are in this and doing whatever we are doing, maybe seeking attention. No, no, no. Maybe that's the conflict which they are talking about. But I've made it very clear to my colleagues. And you heard me talking to my colleague here. I said, we are one family. Let's debate. If you have instructions from the boss, outline to me areas we shouldn't touch. Because you see, I can't destroy UPND. I can't. It's my responsibility to hold UPND together.
Don't you think that the path you've embarked on is a path of destruction? A reason being that you seem to be a lone voice. Look, you know, it's only you yourself, Mr. Longwe,
yeah.
But also maybe there's also Mr. Banda somewhere. The rest of the membership seem to be intact and in agreeing to the current NMC leadership in place.
Somebody once told me to reflect on the majority. Okay? You see, that's why even when you go to court, in those rulings, where the court is composed of so many members, you'll find there's what they call a majority ruling and a minority ruling. Now, here's how I understand. The issue which is before us is not for me to start mobilizing support. I have, my colleagues will tell you, I've not gone out in the party anywhere, in any structure, any branch to mobilize support. I've not done that. Because the task before us has nothing to do with how many are you. In as far as I'm concerned, we're not soliciting for votes. If I was soliciting for votes like I had told you earlier, that we'll be seeking election into national management, my approach would be different. I'll be engaging the structures to network, and that's where I would have seen the mass. But in this task, which I have at hand, it has nothing to do with how many are we. It's an issue of law and order. Okay? And my right to participate. That's all. And my right, your right, are different. You might be able to acquiesce or neglect on your right. But there are certain things, like I told you, I had embarked years back to come back into the national management. So I feel that nobody can stand in my way by deciding not to hold a convention. No. They need to hold a convention so that I participate. But if they decide then to hold a convention as it's happening now, then I need to participate. But if I have to participate in that, it has to be orderly. In other words, the result has to be genuine, legitimate.
What's the disorder have you observed as at now in the current in the ongoing intra-party elections in your party?
No. You know that fiasco you see going on in the structures. For those of us who are in politics, that is normal. There is drama. You know, when you have two camps. I remember at one time I was talking, I don't know, to one of your colleagues. I said, in the UPND, it's a competitive process. Kubobana. So some of those things you are seeing, it's just that the media is there in full display, and one camp may be standing out to show that they are aggrieved in maybe an unruly way, and all those things happen in political contestation, I'll tell you. It's no strange. I think if you see what happens in the opposition, these things do happen across the board. That I don't consider disorder. What I'm talking about is lawfulness. Is the process we are engaged in legitimate? That's all. And my question has just been one. It has been on legitimacy of our actions. And I can tell you this honestly from the bottom of my heart. Yeah. If I was in any way averse to the interest of the UPND, that I took a stand against the party, deliberately to bring harm to the party, I wouldn't have done it now. Right. I would have let them continue. I mean, them by then I mean the national management. Continue in illegality, adopt each other as they had intended to do. This convention maybe has come because we have pushed so hard, all right? And then in the end...
That has been clarified. Actually, Honorable Likando Mufalali tells us that it was basically the mobility of funds which delayed this convention that is being held. So it had nothing to do with maybe your energy and your, the rebellious, behavior you put up.
Wow, that's the argument.
Yeah.
But they were in office from 2021. Looking ahead to the next convention 5 years from now. And then when it's due, you bring in issues of funds. That's a lame excuse in as far as I'm concerned. That actually shows that the capacity of the people in there needed to be beefed up by a new team coming in. And that can only happen through elections, not selections, you see. Because most of the people in national management today have been appointed. I'll tell you, there were good people who are considered stewards at the time. People like, I'll mention their names without their permission really, but it's true. People like Patrick Mucheleka, they were at the secretariat. Okay? Those Andrew Banda, they were at the secretariat then. All these colleagues have now since left. Now, when they left, other people have taken those positions, but maybe they are not up to it. Because those leaders who are elected, the top 70 at the time, qualified for those positions by merit. You know, it was a list of about 200 people. Right. Only 70 made it. So you could say creme de la creme came up. But most of those people have since left. So what we have now in that national management are people who were identified as members like myself, but maybe not skilled to do the task at hand. And so the lapse and the failure even to mobilize funds might be as a reason of exactly what I'm talking about. So it's important that there be renewal in the party. Renewal in the sense of the membership bringing in better skilled people, more talent in there. And the president understands this. Look, you asked me a question about my relationship with the president earlier.
Correct.
I don't consider myself close to the president, but I know the president's heart I've known the president's heart for a long time. I've worked in places with the president where maybe very few people have worked. I know him. That is why when I decided to leave, you asked me why I left. When I decided to leave, it's only him and then Vice President Richard Kapita who knew. I'm a very principled person. I believe in collective responsibility. And when I see that you are driving in a certain agenda or in a certain direction and I don't agree, I don't need to throw stones at you. That's not what I'm even doing even now. No, I went to my president, I expressed myself. I said, sir, this is how I feel. It would be better that I step down. And that thing was kept under lock and key for the last 15 years. Nobody even knew it. That's why there was even an assumption that I was not a member of the party. But the president will tell you, and an independent voice, if everyone would want to doubt what I'm saying, call Richard Kapita. He will tell you, these were quiet moments. I sit with my leaders who I respect, and I discuss differences, and I say, wow, I'll support the team, but let me sit back. I'm very orderly. So when I come in now to accuse me that I'm disturbing the party, then you don't know who Charles is. And I don't think for 1 minute the president is deluded as to my intentions. He knows I mean well, and that's what I stand for. If you had an opportunity to look at the reasons I gave for my resignation, which I won't go in now, but you'll find that the issues we are dealing with now are the reasons I stepped down. Clearly. But I come back because it's a club. It's not, the party is bigger than all of us. And we have to contribute and put our best in this. I'll tell you where I come from and why I decided to come now. I had an opportunity to work a bit during the days of Anderson Kambela Mazoka. And this is what he told us. He says, look, one day you guys are going to get into office. Hold each other accountable. Those guys whom you will allow to go into the executive, you hold them to account, you who won't be in the executive. Renew yourselves. Use the conventions to renew the effort. Don't do, this is what he said. Don't do what Kaunda did. He had the MCCs, circulating them through industry and everything, but there was no demand for them to improve themselves or to be better skilled. He was just keeping them like a family. But Mr. Mazoka tried to demonstrate in my hearing what he expected us to do once we get into office. He says use the conventions. You know, Mr. Mazoka was coming from the American system, you know, the Western democratic system where they have these conventions. Use the conventions to renew. So my posture in opposition was completely different. But I come with that understanding that this is what the founder said, and this is what he expected us to do, that when we are in government, we hold each other accountable. And he said, look, Kaunda let UNIP down by allowing the MCCs then to fail to hold to account those who were in the government. So he says, renew yourselves. So I see a danger. When the party now starts losing popularity, or we are having challenges here and there, and I see that the party itself cannot hold the government or those who have been deployed. You know, we are a membership. So those of us who have the opportunity to serve should be accountable to those who have remained. But it's the other way around. It's like now we are begging those who have deployed. That's not how the thing should be. And so my understanding is that we should hold each other accountable orderly. And how do we do that? During conventions. When you have a district convention, when you have a constituency convention, renew yourselves and hold the others to account. So that within the political party, you find that there is a renewal of leadership and responsibility to the public whom you serve. That's how I understood what Mama Zoka was saying. So we can't have a political party which has no introspection. We can't. That is why Zambian people lose interest in the political party and start looking outside. Because we don't offer solutions to what the Zambians expect. Because those of the people who have gone into the executive go and run away. You know, you run away with power. People sometimes go off the hinges, as they say. Those excesses. And then you find only the opposition take advantage. And they are not serious. All they want is to point at the wrongs the executive is doing so that they may come into office themselves. They are not serious. They are not serious for change. So ourselves as members of the UPND, we can hold our friends to account, seriously, and the public will reckon. But you see, we have to have this mass of understanding, and that happens during the conventions. So when we have the opportunity to put forth on the floor on these conventions, to bring the best of us, the best skill, to say, look guys, you have gone these 5 years. This is where you have missed it. This is how it should be done. In the rule of law, like we are demonstrating now, this is how it is done. So another team will come. So we expect a new UPND coming forward, not to do some of the mistakes which the opposition are just taking advantage of. So within ourselves, there would rise a mass which can correct some of the things.
Why don't you channel those concerns and those brilliant ideas to the party leadership you have in place? Why not walk quietly to the office of the SG or deputy SG, as it were, or any other senior member of the party to advise quietly, and like you speaking through the media, one would say making noise via the media.
Wow.
You know.
Wow. Look, the game we're in, politics, is noise. So if you don't like the noise, you are in the wrong place. The opposition know that. The ruling party knows that. This business we are in is noise. There are different approaches to issues, to draw attention to what is necessary. Sometimes you speak on top of the roof just to make it known what you are dealing with. So you ask me why didn't I go to...
Correct.
No. The conventions, those elections are the platform. You see, this is where people make a mistake. I believe, personally. When you give somebody an opportunity to save, support him. Don't criticize him unnecessarily, support him. Right. I can tell you, I think you start from, I told you that when I left,
yes,
the one who took over was Joe. You can go to Joe. You can go to Trevor. You can go to Mosquito, the current youth chairperson. Ask them, has Longwe come to disturb you, to tell you, no, this is not how you do things, this is how you should be doing things? No, I'll support them if they need my support. But I will not, you need to give them space to operate, to show their skill. But there will be a time to account, and that is the time of conventions. So I find it odd when people decide not to hold elections, because that's an opportunity for people like me. Let's say I'm in Chipata, for instance. There in Chipata, there are issues, and we have a district youth chairperson. During these conventions is the time when another person will say, this is how I can do it, lawfully, without being scolded as anti-leadership. Freely, because you are in a competitive process. But before that time comes, what you are supposed to do is support those who are there. Support their effort, because one day you will be there. You won't need them to be pulling you back. Those people should be supporting you. I'm not pushing anyone back, in my view. My mind is very clear. The leadership which is there is illegitimate. That's all. Now, if that's too loud, there's no better time to put it.
How legitimate is the leadership serving in the UPND right now? How illegitimate?
Well, look, Zambia is a constitutional democracy, meaning we operate by rules and norms based on constitutionalism. And I was talking to somebody one day that, look, you have to look at how the society is developed in Zambia. Then first we have the supreme law, which is the constitution.
Correct.
Then we have acts of parliament. Now, in each and every division where you see in this country, there is a governing statute. If you go to the banks, there is the Banking Act and whatsoever.
Correct.
Any institution which you see in Zambia is governed by statute. Okay? In other words, we fall under a certain category. As politicians, okay, we are actually supposed to fall under a prescribed act in terms of Article 60. I can tell you it's a sad story, but let me leave it there. So we find that we are under the Societies Act.
Yeah.
Now, that act provides how societies should exist under the law. It's not in perpetuity. You just don't serve in a society endlessly. You see, voluntary clubs, this is a norm. You know, like when you join a church, there are rules which govern. I know that people think that when they join a church, maybe they are in Israel. Then when they hold the Bible, they assume that whatever they are doing is from heaven. That is not true. In Zambia, you are under the Societies Act. You are governed by a certain law. Okay, and if you go to those churches, they will tell you, those people in leadership, they say, you come every Sunday, but behind the scenes, every year or every 2 years, depending on the constitutions, they renew mandate.
Right.
So that mandate is renewed not because the pastor is not called by God. No, it's renewed because the statute under which they operate requires that. So, in the UPND as a club, please understand me.
Yeah.
In the UPND as a club, there is an operation of the law there.
Right.
And we operate under the Societies Act, then we have our own constitution.
Correct.
The Societies Act does not provide tenure. That is why when a group of 10 people want to register a society, you go to the societies, to the registrar of society, and you tell them you want to do this. They give you what they call a template, like a checklist, things which you should come with. One of which is the constitution. And once it agrees with their framework, they'll register you. So in other words, you are self-regulating because you are on the side. You meet the standards in the statute, which is the registrar. So now you are on the side. This where you are, you govern yourselves by a contract. That constitutional document is now what is known as the contract among members. So the relationship between members is governed by that document.
Right.
So the registrar does not enforce that. You yourselves as members enforce that. It's not the duty of the registrar to enforce the provisions of that thing. The only time the registrar of societies comes in is if you go against the provisions which you have stipulated in that document and he becomes aware. Yeah. That's when he comes in. Otherwise, the matters concerning the political party are resolved by yourselves. The registrar doesn't come in. So it is very important that members, and I hope I'm speaking to a lot of UPND members.
And I want you to be specific. What has been breached according to your party constitution of the UPND? What has been breached according to, maybe if you want to can go further to the Zambian constitution? What's the noise all about? Because you seem to be, for lack of better words, you seem to be stubborn. You know, you took the matter to court, and the court dismissed your claims. Again, today, you went back again. The question is, exactly, yes. The question is, what do you want? What has been breached in the UPND constitution? Maybe before that, allow me just to read a bit, some notes from the UPND constitution here.
Yes.
When you go to, I think I would take you to Article 75 of the UPND constitution, which talks about elections. It says that the president of the party shall be elected by the General Assembly every 5 years. Here we are. So President Hakainde Hichilema was elected in 2021. Thereabout, a convention I remember, or a General Assembly, which I remember, and I was privileged, I myself, to have covered that General Assembly in my capacity as a journalist at the time. So this is being done. And today, as we speak, the intra-party elections are ongoing, which will now culminate, or which will now usher in the General Assembly, or General Assembly, which will be taking place on the 15th of this month. The question is, why is Longwe insisting? Why the noise? Why the hullabaloo around? What has been breached? Why should you go back to court?
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm glad that now we have come to my favorite subject. And I take opportunity to do this away from my court filings, just maybe to educate some people, because I think it's important, most especially my friends in the UPND. It's very important, and even across political parties, it's important that when you belong to a society, read the document. It's like you go to church, you don't read the Bible. Then you'll be hearing stories from your pastor. Now, you read Article 75.
Correct.
It mentions something. Doesn't talk about 5 years only, but it says that the president will be elected once every 5 years. Yes. Where? Where?
At the General Assembly.
At the General Assembly.
Yes.
Now go to Article 53. Because this will help your viewers understand how a president is elected.
So 53,
yes.
It talks about meeting of the General Assembly, and it says that the General Assembly shall meet once every 5 years, and notice governing such assembly shall be at least 30 days before the date set for the assembly. So basically, it is just talking about the process leading to the General Assembly. I'll read that again for the sake of the viewers that are watching the program. The Article 53 of the UPND manifesto, it reads, the General Assembly shall meet once every 5 years, and notice convening such assembly shall be at least 30 days before the date for such an assembly.
Okay, so you see the relationship between Article 75, earlier when we read, and this. So it means that the president is not elected at any other fora. The president is only elected at the General Assembly.
Correct.
And then now it tells you that this General Assembly is called once every 5 years. So it's something you do periodically. Okay? That document is stipulating. And it's telling you once every 5 years. That's how it's done. And then it also tells you something. That this General Assembly doesn't just happen because you want to elect the president. The membership should be notified 30 days before this date that now we want to hold. Because you see, you have to understand, when it says once every 5 years, it doesn't mean like, let's now go practical. Since you are saying you are there at our last, you attended the last convention.
Correct.
So the last convention was on the 14th. So now we are saying it should be held once every 5 years. So it means in a 5-year period, you expect to hold it at least once. What it means is that from the 14th of 2021, at least to the 14th of 2026, you can hold this assembly once.
Correct.
So this one, you can hold it in 2022. You can hold it in 2023.
Or 2025.
Or 2025. But once every 5 years, meaning you count the 5 years. So before the 10
You can also hold it even in 2026 like now.
Yes, but
because it's within the time frame of
5
years.
Now listen.
Yes.
Once every 5 years. So you have the 5-year period. So you can hold it at any time within these 5 years. Now, 5 years, in other words, is the limit. Now, you have to understand something. Because you see, these laws are not just written. There's a reason the crafters write these things. So there's a way you compute time, or in other words, how you interpret that. I'll give you an example. And this is will be very instructive to your audience. Right. In 2016, we had a situation where, as the party UPND, we appealed, I think we petitioned the High Court, the Constitutional Court. And there arose an issue. If the famous 14 days is 14 days. Yeah. Now, if you are there at that time, it was a big issue. Because we were prosecuting a matter. All right? And then we ran out of time. The president, my president, Hakainde Hichilema, and the then running mate GBN made an earnest plea before the court and said, look, the court should hear, we haven't heard us yet. Correct. Can you give us a little bit more time? We are almost there. Yes. Just to give us 2 more days, we'll make this case. Now, that will be instructive on what happens with time when time is, what we call computation of time. We had an earnest plea. I think the country stood on edge, but time had lapsed. Do you understand? Right. So the court became I'll use this because this is the best way I think I can explain. The argument the opposing party made was like, look, after these 14 days, the court, the body, like now we are saying the national management, the one which makes the decision. In other words, we are seeking for a ruling from the court to decide on our matter, hear it and conclude it. The issue which the court said was that we have run out of time. 14 days is up. We didn't like it. I was one of those to show you that I didn't like it. I'm not, you may misunderstand me. I didn't like it. I don't know how many members in the UPND did what I did. The only other person I know is my colleague Douglas Yakalima. He will tell you. Peter Sinkamba from People's Party. Is it People's Party? Green Party. Green Party. Isaac Mwanza. The 4 of us, I can tell you, we did something about that. I didn't like it so much that I took the 3 justices, Palan Mulonda, what's the other one? Anistali, and Mungeni, to the JCC, where I went yesterday. It's not my first time. I know those officers. I've been there. I was so outraged. Now, I don't know what my fellow UPND members did, but I can tell you what I did. I was so outraged by that decision. Because we were just there. They should have given us a time to be heard. Now, here's what I'm trying to say. At the end of that process, we learned something as a country, and I hope the UPND members will understand. We learned one hard truth. Time cannot be extended. Once the 14 days elapsed, the body, the tribunal became defunct. It could not authoritatively adjudicate. Not that the judges were incompetent. Please understand. The judges were competent, but the power to execute that mandate had lapsed because of what is known as an operation of the law. Time had lapsed. So please hear me when I say what I say to the viewers. I'm not saying that President Hakainde is incompetent. Please. I'm not saying that these National Management Committee members are incompetent and they are riffraffs and I'm better. No. What I'm just saying
No, but unless you are amending your own words. But you've mentioned this in other platforms where you've mentioned that it appears the current team of the management of the UPND, the executive membership of the UPND, they seem to be failing to operate. They seem to be incompetent because the party is more like declining. You mentioned that elsewhere.
Listen.
Unless you want to change your own way.
Here's what I'm saying. Yes. Please, don't generalize my statement.
Right.
I'm saying I'm not picking them out as individuals in this regard. When I stand, I'm talking about, like, I'm drawing a parallel. Please follow me. I'm drawing a parallel that those Constitutional Court justices, it's not that they were incompetent to handle the matter, but they became moribund. They became defunct. In other words, the court was now functus official. It couldn't perform that duty. You understand? Because their
During the time
mandate
frame they were
had,
given.
yes, during the time frame they were given, so
Right.
they had lapsed. We had a good case, but time lapsed. So even now, here's what I'm saying. And please, I hope this is the best way I can do it. It's difficult, these things. But even now, all we are saying is that, look, the National Management Committee's time to do what is expected of them to do has lapsed. They are good people. They are honest people. Like he said, they are fundraising. They didn't even raise enough money for the conventions. They may have meant well, but the time lapsed.
You've gone back to now you have gone to the Judicial Complaint Commission. Tell me and the viewers watching this program this evening,
Yes.
what do you intend to achieve? Your demands before the court of law were thrown out, dismissed. But today, again, you went back to the courts. So 2 questions. What do you aim to achieve out of that complaint you have filed before the JCC? But also, has that been saved on the UPND leadership through the SG, deputy, and others?
Okay, so 2 things you ask. 1, as you remember, on the 18th of March, I commenced an action. Now, I remember I told you I'm very orderly. I don't go to the street and start throwing stones just because the decision of the court I'm aggrieved by its decision. In our society, there is also a Judicial Complaints Commission. Meaning, when you are aggrieved by a decision of the court, I've been there many times. I think I just demonstrated to you that when I was aggrieved by the decision of those 3 justices, they'll remember me very well. I went there. So, I went there again this time because there was a matter which I can discuss, because that matter has been discontinued and it's gone.
Yeah.
I can discuss that particular one. I won't go in details on the one we've just filed. But I'll tell you what. I was aggrieved by the outcome. The judge hit me like, on the street we say, she might have hit me below the belt. In my view, please understand, in my view, I had filed the process correctly. But her ruling in dismissing my matter suggested that my documents before court were not properly filed. And then she couldn't perform her function. She was constrained by certain rules. When I examined what I had filed at commencement, there's a term called commencement. Correct. In other words, when you are starting, what she was saying I didn't include was there. Now, in this heated debate, I couldn't believe that a competent person could do what she did. Now, I didn't go to her home. No, I didn't do that. I took her decision and complained to the Judicial Complaints Commission and made my case that, look, these are the facts. Look at this judge. These are not the actions of a judge who has an honest approach to her work. That's their job now. That process, I don't save it on the UPND. The UPND have no issue with it. It's something to do with the judge and myself and your now. Feelings. That's all. And then she also have an opportunity to go there, like Mungeni Mulenga and Wapalan Monanda told you. We met there. They had their views, they defended, and should I tell you what happened? I'll tell you what. I lost. Right. I didn't succeed. But I was fulfilled. Why? I was given an opportunity. So even in this case, it's not that when you do certain things, you just ultimately want to win. You express yourself, but the laws in this country provide for grievance. What do you do when you are aggrieved? And so when a court justice, like she did, in my view, acted contrary to my expectations, should I say, I have an avenue. Now, the other avenue would have been to appeal. But you see, they are holding the convention. Remember you said the convention is ongoing, and I'm seeking an injunction. So if now I start the process of appeals, that's the result. So I have to recommence an action, all right, at great expense.
So now you agree with me that perhaps you may be fighting a losing battle?
Wow, look. Doing nothing since she dismissed my case is fighting a losing battle. Doing nothing, just going home, lick my wounds, But as long as the door is still open, the convention is on the 15th. I can approach the court tonight. In fact, I could have approached the court on the 13th or 14th, okay, of April, and with a certificate of urgency, and told them, look, these people are abrogating the law in this way. So I can't say I'm fighting a losing battle. I'm exercising my right. And there's something I want to commend the Honorable Jack Mwimbo. He said this publicly. He said, look, a member has gone to court. We expect him to prosecute his matter there. Do you know what that means? He recognizes that if I have a grievance, I have a right to go there. So even if they dismissed my matter yesterday, I still have a right to approach the court. So it's not extinguished by the fact that they ruled against me yesterday. I can still go back to the court.
Where does it put you now, Mr. Longwe, in that, look, time is of essence, as we've mentioned earlier on.
Yes.
You know, you cannot reverse, you cannot regain time.
Yes.
Going by your own words. You've spent time talking about these issues. You've spent resources as well.
Yes, yes.
You know, trying to, put up this spirited fight. But today you are standing here as a man who seemed to have lost the battle so far. How much shame do you have on your face before the country this evening?
Let me look at the camera. Where
Please do.
Shame. Eh? I just told you that I went to the Judicial Complaints Commission. Boldly. Myself. I went to the Judicial Complaints Commission. And Judge Mungeni Mulenga will tell you, Palan Mulenga will tell you, and Anistali, they wired me there. What shame? No shame. I did my part as a citizen. That which I knew. You see, others would want to pick stones. Others would want to throw stones. No, my politics, I'm a judge. They'll do crazy things. I don't do those things. What I do is I take the next step. When it fails, please learn to concede. In this endeavor, it's not win, win, win. You take your step. When things fail, you are just trying. Accept it.
How will you go back now to the UPND? Because you've mentioned earlier on that you can just move closer to the podium.
Thank you.
How will you go back to the UPND leadership, the party which you have put into, disrepute? That is lack of better ways to use. Of course, you see this from a different angle. But you have imbalanced your party leaders. How will you go back and have your membership really be sustained? How will you go back again and you file your nominations as a member of the National Management Committee, the party you belong to?
You have a misunderstanding there.
Okay, please correct that.
Go back where? You mean go and join the race?
Correct.
The current No, I can't do that. That race, which is ongoing, is why I'm in court. I'm saying that process.
So you cannot take part?
No, I cannot take part in that.
You shall remain an ordinary member?
I shall remain an ordinary member. If they have cause to say what I'm doing now is indiscipline, they are the ones in authority. Then, after the process, they will do to me as they wish.
Peradventure, they expel you? How?
On what grounds? That I took them to court. Let me tell you something. We are a constitutional democracy. I moved to court in terms of Article 60. Let them dare it. Yeah, I tell these things are clear. The Constitution, we have a history. There is lawlessness.
But you can't be expelled as a member.
But not for taking them to court. They should respect my right to do that. You see, we are developing from UNIP, one-party state, to where we are today. And people should check constitutional developments. It's very important. And I'm not saying this out of arrogance and pride. I'm just telling you that Article 60, 2F, gives me right to take my party when I'm aggrieved by a decision of the party to court. Now, if those are the grounds they will put forward, maybe if they say you appeared on a show with, is it KBN?
Correct.
maybe they will expel me for that, but not for going to court. And I think Honorable Jack Mwimbo understands that very well, and I think my president understands that very well.
Do you regret having appeared on this platform this evening?
Not at all. Actually, I would need more time. Yes.
You have been issuing threats to your leaders in the party. You've also, threatened that you played a very critical role in the UPND, and you are one of those key members, who more like we are flying in the night, according to your own words.
Oh, paratroopers, you mean?
Paratroopers, yes.
What
is the role of a paratrooper?
Was it you or somebody else? I've been appearing on shows nowadays.
Correct.
Did I share with you any material of my past activities, and did I share with you? Is it you? Is the studio able to play that?
No, but for the sake of time, but just explain. The viewers will listen, because you want to understand.
No, it's pictorial.
Are you a magician?
No, because that which I shared. Because you see, my friends are going around and saying, no, we don't have lawless individuals. No, we don't. We should grow in this democracy and understand what it is. Our late President Chiluba, one day there was issues in MMD. And things were happening. Then he says, I'm an engineer. Do you remember? I don't know whether you're old enough to understand.
Yes.
Chiluba came and said, I am an engineer. Now, we know who engineers are, but Chiluba was not a qualified engineer. Okay? But he meant something. So, these words in politics.
So what did you mean yourself?
That's why I wanted you to show the viewers what I sent you.
Yeah.
And because that I'm in action there. You see, so that, people want to know. They're asking questions. What does a paratrooper do in UPND? And those things I sent you.
Are you able to explain to me, for the sake of time, just to explain to an ordinary member out there who may
No. I can show you the way I did. And I wished you could do this good thing for me, because it will show me in action.
Right. And
when I'm in action, they will understand what a paratrooper does. Because this figment of imagination that we are doing at lawless activity in the UPND is it's someone who is misunderstanding, deliberately understanding. And I had hoped that, because I heard somebody somewhere, and actually it was my friend, that's why I was ready to debate him. He said somewhere, no, Longwe cannot be saying that we don't have that department. I wanted to show you that we have that.
Individuals that we are
doing because I have it there.
Activities.
Yeah, please. If you could share that, then they'll see me. The whole country or your viewers will see me in action. They will never ask again. All
right. No, we'll share as time goes on. Of course, let's just allow a few questions, and then later on we'll pick up calls from the people of Zambia. My question is that what. I will leave it to you now.
Yeah.
And this is a section I'd prepared for both of you and Honorable Mufalali at this stage on this program. What question would you want to ask your party leadership right now?
No. Before maybe we go to that section.
Yes.
We started building up to something. You asked me about the 5 years and so forth.
Yes.
I see that you have I don't know, is that a Republican Constitution?
Yes, correct. I have it.
If you go to Article 60 of the Republican Constitution. It will be important for us to understand. Remember, I talked about the party constitution, which is a contract among members.
Correct.
Then we refer to the registrar statute, which is the Societies Act. Now, Article 60. If you can read the first part of Article 60.
First part, that is 60 clause subsection 1?
2.
Or 2.
Yeah.
Okay, which says a political party shall promote the values and the principles specified in this constitution.
Yes.
B, have a national character. C, promote and uphold a national unit. D, promote and practice democracy through regular, free and fair elections within the party.
Okay, now just there, because that it will lead me to answer what I expect.
Right.
Now, that's the constitution they are talking about. There are things which are known as mandatory provisions. Okay? These are not obligatory, where you just can do or not do. That is a mandatory provision. It's saying a political party, I want you to read the last one. It says, shall practice what? Democracy. So
correct.
Then it tells you how democracy should be practiced. What does it say?
Through regular, regular, free and fair elections within the party.
So it's not practiced the way you want. You understand?
Right.
The Constitution is giving you boundaries and saying, okay, if you are going to, as a political party, exist under these laws, here is how you practice democracy. Not the way you want, but through free, what does it say? Three things.
Free and fair elections.
Elections.
Within the party.
Within the party.
So they are, I think essentially there are about three keywords. There's regular, free and fair elections.
So that regularity is determined by your statute in your organization.
Right.
Not the Societies Act. It's determined by your contract among members now, that voluntary thing. So that's the regularity. It will be done there. But what you should be doing is holding intra-party elections. Not selections. You know, I think you have seen what's going on in the media. Maybe you guys have been covering this, where people are complaining that people are voting in the night. Oh, elections were held. You know, that is not free and fair. It should be a transparent process. Okay, so if you asked me earlier to say, what do you expect from your leaders?
Yes.
Right now we don't have a leadership, so there's very little I expect.
No, you have.
No. You see, that's where the rubber hits the road with me. Right now, UPND, okay, has no leadership. That's where we are. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in your studio. Okay? So that's why I'm in your studio. I'm saying their mandate lapsed to even convene these assemblies. That's all. It's a question of...
So who should organize these assemblies now?
That's why we are in court.
Your argument is that...
That's why we are in court.
The current leadership is, mandate elapsed.
You see, that's where I would have wanted to hear from them at one time. And I can even hear from them now because the process, we had to take it out and save it on them and things like that. So I would have wanted to hear an alternative, not what is going on now. Because what's going on is lawlessness. Where you don't have money. It's like, I go back to the 14 days. It's like now, what we are asking, you see, that 14 days lapsed on a Friday. What we are asking the court to do on Monday and Tuesday to hear us and pass judgment is what is going on now. Where the court would have been exercising mandate unlawfully. So what's going on now is exactly that in my view. But I won't throw stones. You haven't heard that Mr. Longwe is in Mazabuka telling people, don't do this. I think you haven't heard me. You haven't heard me in the campaign or tell people, no, don't do that. I've just said, well, let them go ahead. I don't agree with that process. The civilized way to do it is why you find that I'm still in what? In court. I don't agree with it, but I won't disrupt it. If the process, which is ongoing now, succeeds, it's good for my party. But if our process succeeds, we'll renew that and we'll start all over again from the branches, proper elections, to the wards, to the constituency, to the district, then the province, properly. Not what we are saying. You can't hold party elections from branch to province in 4 days. Impossible. We have a membership.
It's not possible.
We have a membership. Mind you, we're a ruling party. The membership, it can't work.
So what do you make of the elections that we have witnessed so far in the
This is why I'm trying to say that I'll judge very little.
Provinces so far.
I'll judge very little because, you see, I've not paid particular interest. I've just seen, videos flying around on social media of complaints and so forth, which I told you initially that is normal in politicking. We do that. I won't blow that out of proportion. But all I'm saying is whatever is happening there, illegalities as far as I'm concerned.
You are a member of the ruling party, UPND,
yes.
And you are into a contestation right now.
I have no contestant, nothing.
No. I mean, you and the UPND, we are heading towards the elections, competing, or you shall compete with other opposition political parties.
Yes.
What is your view so far ahead of the elections?
Well, look,
can your party really stand the chance to return
you want me
power?
To tell you about UPND? No,
yes.
I'll speak like this.
Yes.
First of all, I'll tell you that I'm not in the leadership in the UPND.
Just as a member?
Yeah.
Yes, speak
but
as a
I'll
member.
tell you.
Yes.
And please mark my words.
Yeah.
I told you that, and I wish you could have shown that thing. Because you would have seen us in action, because that would explain to you what I'll say now. Right. UPND is a campaign machine. We have been in the process of renewal for campaigns for a very long time, you know, from 1998. Right. We are the only party which has stayed in, or maybe was in opposition for 23 years before forming government. The ground troops, you see now, this is the term I'm using, the foot soldiers, okay? Nothing military about it, it's just a term we use. But all we are saying is that I've seen them now on the ground.
Right.
And I'll say this like I'm joking. I'll just send a clear warning to the opposition. 2026 is a UPND election. Now, some people will come in August or after August and wonder why Mr. Longwe could say such a thing. 2026 is a UPND election. Now, they obviously have their own reasons to think that maybe due to this or that reason. But me, I see how the troops are operating on the ground.
Right.
And I can tell you, since I'm on your studio,
correct,
call me after August 25. See the kind of votes you get in Eastern Province.
As UPND.
As UPND.
Right.
The UPND elections this year, the results which will come from Eastern Province, you know what you'll be saying? You will be saying, Bantu wakumawa bakondo nkala mboma. Because I can tell you if you are in the Eastern Province. Because you see, I know the machine, how it works.
How does it work?
Let me tell you. I wish you could have put that thing. Because that thing would have helped you see us paratroopers. You see, I know, I'm trained by the best. I'll give you the names. One of them is Mr. Chidiaka.
Mr.
You know, Mr. Chidiaka, there's the late now, Request Muntanga, Action Sejan. When we would go in campaigns and in the villages, because this is on the ground, they would do this. 10 hours, Mumunda. What do you understand about what my statement? Very little. But that's a code. We'll go in the villages. You train the people how to go out and vote. By 10 hours, they should be back in their field. I see that operation in the Eastern Province. Mark my words, it will be a big risk for any opposition person to stand in the Eastern Province.
Wow.
I'm telling you, I know the operation is on the ground. I know the paratroopers. That's why I'm telling you that. We know what we do best. And I know where my colleagues are on the ground. The movement in the Eastern Province, you come and say, oh, by UPND, we're not rigging a twist. Because I know how the troops work on the ground.
Right.
So, that's why I'm not in the opposition. I'm in the party, which I know that this August, it's our election.
My final question to you, Mr. Longwe.
Yes.
Is that you've come out very strongly criticizing your own political party.
Yes.
You've gone to court. The court has dismissed your claims.
Yes.
And your documents, again, today you have gone to before the JCC to complain over what you perceive to have been, you know, some forms of unfair treatment on your rights.
Yes.
But furthermore, beyond you, so far there's you and Mr. Patrick Tembo Banda.
Mr. Banda, yes.
Yes. Do you know Mr. Banda?
I know. We call him in the UPND. Everyone they are joking. They are saying no, we don't know Banda. We know his name in the party is Common Boy. That's his name. I will not lie. I mean, that's his name. Is Common Boy. Everyone knows him.
Who is Patrick Banda?
Well, you should call him to ask him. But I've just told you his code name. That's what I know him as.
Is he a member of the UPND?
He was even, well, look, those questions he can answer for himself. But what I can tell you is this. When I was a youth chairperson, Patrick was on the province. As I think he was a provincial youth chairperson.
Under the UPND?
Under the UPND. That I know.
So, meaning you know Patrick
I know
Banda.
Patrick. That's why
and he's a member of the UPND.
Well, look, there's something about membership which people don't understand.
Right.
You see, membership under the Societies Act in a society like the UPND goes by the principle called presumptive membership. Okay?
Right.
Now, when you hold a card and you bought a card for UPND, you are a member. Those, then when you read the Constitution, I wish if I could take opportunity to look at it. How much time do we have?
I'll give you 5 minutes.
5 minutes,
yes.
Because it's important for you to help. You know, people don't want to read. They don't want to read. If they just read, The answers are right in front of them. I want you to know, read section 9. I didn't come with my glasses.
Section 9.
Yeah.
Okay, which talks about a termination of membership.
Yeah.
So section 9, it says membership of the party shall terminate upon any of the following.
Yes.
A resignation.
Yeah.
B, expulsion.
Yeah.
C, joining another party.
Yeah.
D, a death.
Yes.
And C, dissolution of the party or body which is a member. Yeah, that's what it says.
Do you see subscriptions there?
Well, not really.
So in other words, you know, these things are not written for nothing. It tells you that your membership will cease or will terminate on any of the following grounds, and subscription is not one of them. So this story they are going around saying people know that those subscriptions are for rights to participate in things, okay?
Right.
It's like you have a DSTV. I don't know. Is this a cable TV or what?
It's actually on DSTV.
Okay. You see, you have a decoder. So you are a member. All right? But if you don't pay your subscription, they cut off. So there are certain benefits you lose.
Right.
So when you are a member, you are a member. You only lose membership on those grounds. But there are certain things which you benefit as a member. Let's say, for instance, you want to stand for elections. They will tell you that you have to be a continuous member for so many years. You are deprived from certain actions based on the fact that you have not been paying your subscriptions, not that your membership terminated.
Right.
There's a lot of ignorance.
Just hold on there, Mr. Tembo. We just, rather Mr. Longwe.
Yes.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Longwe. We will pick up about 4 calls, then we wind up the program. Dear viewers, you are watching the Big Hour debate right here on KBN TV, and I am your host, Innocent Piri. I should make mention to you that we earlier invited Mr. Mufalali Likando, who is the chairperson for election under the UPND, for this particular debate with Mr. Longwe. But however, upon his arrival, he felt uncomfortable to proceed with the conversation, and I stormed out of the studio.
He chickened out.
Yeah, so let's hear from you, the viewers out there. Hello, caller, good evening, and welcome to the program.
Hello, good evening, my brother.
Good evening to you, and tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Moses calling from Johnny Renge.
Go ahead, Mr. Moses, I'll give you a minute.
Abasogolera abo Longwe nemukumana kwandi ba IP chimwenepo na problem eri yonse nefyo balefwaya mu party mamona bantu abo balenda liba member wa UPND party and the party n'abalanda uli wonse ulefu kuta participate afuiro kuste n'abesula kiri open ukwisa kita participate manje bamudala abo kubakwatire problem ni pesa na party mamona epali obwafya bupe ni pesa apali problem imwe n'abamita kire mukirishani mukite participate andinga tomona ba IP before 2020 tuli ku 2021 election twali kwete general conference twachitire elect wa president wa India chema apa futi n'ababika date ya kuchita ya ku convention no kuyasala ama leaders muri mu office kuti tabalensho omuntu uli wonse manje bamudala abo opo iri confusion yapa bwati tatuishibe beno po beminine ichishupire nichinchi sana makamako cyo mukifushe kuba karamba happy muombe.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you. I'm going to pick up my last caller this evening, then we wind up the conversation. Hello, caller. Good evening, and welcome to the Big Hour debate program.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening to you. You've got a minute. Tell us your name, please.
Mine is Moses Lungu, not the Moses from talking, but Moses Lungu.
Moses Lungu, go ahead, please.
Walongwe mao mwachoma.
Mwachoma.
Nikutashani maningi walongwe. I think mulimonga waja maberians Bible waja. Anali kuchecking a very boss wamene Paulo alalikira kuti vili in line with the Bible. My problem yam Zambia tima supporter job without understanding things. See, if we can have people like you, I think this country can develop. You can be in an organization, in an organization, but when you see that things are not going on well, you have to remind them to say, no, guys, let's go back to the foundation. So what you have done, I think, is the right thing. And any a person with the right mind, I don't think you should even be demonized, condemned, because you must be appreciated. If it wasn't for you, I think even these the so-called intra-party elections in UPND, they were going to be, ignored. So thank you so much. Now, as I go, my question to you is that you are a bona fide member, I understand. You are a member of UPND.
Mwamene.
Manje wae munavirekerera bintu asogoleri kuti mumwembekezere mpakira mandate yasira paja pa February wae simuna wachiteli mind aba bali mu central committee kuti guys, we are running out of time. Chite bintu kuti tuonese ziko kuti party yathu ruling according to the law. Manje munayembekezera mpakira time yasira nichanja mene chinalengesa sakumvererani obwanji. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Mr. Longwe, you may just answer those two questions, then we proceed.
Okay. Now, I thank you very much. For the first caller, I think they didn't follow us very well. I think we dealt with those issues, and I wouldn't want to go back on those issues. Maybe if they can just try to listen to what we said from the beginning. Yeah. But the second caller raises an important issue. Says, well, look, why did you allow for things to degenerate? I didn't allow.
Right.
No. You see, when you allow, then you are responsible. You see, I was not there in the National Management Committee to take this blame. National what? Management, that's their job. And I was not there. However, I was aspiring to get to that board. So, when I saw that time was running out, because the first thing I did, because I was aware that in 2021, there was an amendment to the document. My assumption was that those amendments done to the document should explain why we are not having a convention. That was my reasoning. Because I didn't see how we were not having a convention after 5 years. So I said pursuing for the amended document. And I can tell you it was very difficult to get a copy of the UPND. And that's another story.
Right.
I had to go many places to get one. It's after I studied it. By the time I was actually studying and understanding the changes which were made, I realized they were not significant to have altered the tenure.
Right.
And then I raised an alarm. Say, guys, we should have held the convention. Why not? Can you explain? Maybe there's they say, how do you read it? In other words, how do you understand? Maybe there's a way. That's what I was expecting. And up to date, no one has told me, no, we read it like this. There are many things that have been said, transition. There's no transition thing there. But whatever it is, it was not my fault. That one, don't lump it on me.
Right.
Let those who lapsed answer to why they lapsed, not me. Don't push it on me. I just got the...
You had earlier mentioned, as we go, you had earlier mentioned that there was a possibility that you may petition the candidature of President Hakainde Hichilema come this year at nomination level.
Yes.
Have you ignored that now?
No.
Have you buried that?
Here's what I did. You see, this is to me, it's a Gonga confession, okay? And so one guy, actually two guys.
The current
this convention
is,
whatever they're doing.
You call it
Gonga. It's a fake one, this one. You don't get to end up shopping Chinese. It looks like it, but it's not it. I learned something, on the streets. When they are selling these, clothes on the street, they like Nike, Adidas, these brands.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was Gonga. But you see it, printed. So it's like this convention. Something like that, but it's not it. Now, here's your question now, to answer to your question. I told you that I won't participate in this thing. But guys have been showing a lot of interest. He said, iwe sufuna. What's yonongera? What is it? I said, do you want me to tell you just for fun? So two guys have given them a condition. I said, oh, I can make, do you want to be president of the UPND out of this Gonga Convention? One of two of them said yes. I don't know when the process will end, the nomination for national management. I told them, file. When you file, what I'll do is, there's an electoral commission. I'll write to that electoral commission. Because I'm still a member. You know what I mean? Because that electoral commission, I'll write to them. And I'll show them why I feel the president does not qualify at this stage. Right. So it will be the decision of those which will matter. You see, I don't want to cause confusion.
Right.
I hope you follow what I'm trying to say. So I told them, you file. Because don't come to me and the condition I had put is I only make this point once he files. What's the point of me singing a song when what if he doesn't file? So once he files, there's an electoral commission there. And these guys who will have filed, I'll say, here, take to electoral commission.
So that is the time you're waiting for, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting. I'm just waiting for them to close.
When the president files in his nominations.
Yeah, and I hope one of them will file. Because it will be an opportunity to become UPND president.
For you?
For that one who will file.
For the
because I want to believe that the other person will be disqualified and the other one will go unopposed.
HH will be disqualified.
Yes, that's where I stand when I'm saying in eligibility will go. Because you see, it will advantage the other person. So if there are just two of them there, the other one will go.
Confirm to me and the viewers watching the program, we were told as a country that you've been appointed as the Secretary General of the UPND, in inverted commas, by your colleague in Patrick Banda, who is claiming to have taken over the UPND as the party president. You've been appointed.
I saw the appointment letter. Okay, but it has not reached me yet.
Right.
Okay.
Where did you see it from?
On social media.
Right.
Yeah.
It hasn't been delivered.
It hasn't been delivered. I'm waiting. Once it's delivered, call me. In fact, I'll call you. Let's make a deal. I'll call you that I've received Lugwalo. Because that is Lugwalo, my friend. Power. SG. It hasn't arrived.
When it comes,
I'll
will
call
receive
you.
it?
I'll call you. Well, it will come and I'll call you that now I have Lugwalo.
You are willing to take it up?
No. Listen. When it comes, I'll call you. I say I have the Lugwalo.
Are you willing to take it up?
No. It's not a question of willing or not willing. When I get it, I'll call you. Because then I'll have the Lugwalo.
Right.
Yes.
Mr. Longwe, thank you so much for coming through to the program. I hope you have a very good conversation, and also believe you enjoyed the program.
I really appreciate your invite, and I want to thank the producer and everyone else for this invite. I wish we had more fun with my good friends. I'll call him after this program and tell him, don't do such a thing.
Right.
Yeah, because we should have demonstrated unity in the party, and this is a lost opportunity. Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much. I've been speaking to Mr. Charles Longwe, a man who has been through the media in different shapes, of course, dragging his party to court. The court dismisses his claims, allegations. Again, he's gone now to the Judicial Complaints Commission to exercise his democratic rights in expressing his concerns. But earlier on, we had invited also the UPND chairman in charge of elections, Mr. Likando Mufalali, who came to the studio, but later on changed his mind on a last minute. And therefore, we had to proceed with the conversation. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again next week with another episode. This has been the Bigger Program. I am your host, Innocent Piri, or IP. May God bless Zambia. May God bless Mother Africa. Good night.